Yo, what is good, YouTube? It's your boy Chisel, and I am back with another video. Now, as y'all can see by the title, we will be reacting to 10 weirdest injuries in NFL history. But before we get into this video, make sure y'all hit that like button and that subscribe button with post notifications on if y'all want to see more videos like this in the future. Please and thank you. Now, let's get straight into this video.
No one is immune to injury when you play in the National Football League, but every player on this list managed to injure themselves in unthinkable ways. Today, we break down the top 10 weirdest injuries in NFL history. Some happened on the field, some off, some before a game even started during the coin toss. Some of the weirdest injuries even happened in training rooms and in nightclubs. So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh at some of the funniest, odd, and just weirdest injuries in NFL history. Orlando Brown was hit in the eye by a penalty flag. This injury is possibly the wackiest
I heard
one
about
on the
that
list.
before.
Until 2000, penalty flags were weighed down by metal BB pellets. Orlando Brown was a massive human shield for the Cleveland Browns offensive line in 1999. In a game against the Jaguars, Brown was caught holding a defensive line.
Why they call it the Jaguars? I thought it was called the Jaguars. Why they call it a Jaguar?
On a play. Naturally, the ref, Jeff Triplett, threw a penalty marker in his direction. In fact, it was a bullseye. The flag nailed Brown in his right eye, disorienting him.
How does that? That's
100%
accuracy.
Brown became enraged and shoved
That is
him to the
100%
ground, getting
accuracy.
ejected and suspended for the remainder of the season for the action. The metal BB's impact nearly blinded Brown, causing permanent damage to his right eye. It took nearly 3.
That's a lawsuit. And my question is, some of these refs in these sports with the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, they do stuff, but then they don't get penalized for it. But if a player does something, he got mad, he reacted to it in a mad way, and he was suspended for the remainder of the season. But he actually threw it at his eye, and he almost got blinded. And what happened to the ref? Did he get sued? Did he get fired? What happened to him?
Full seasons.
And the thing is, you heard a player, they're the ones who make up the game. Without the players, there's no game. So
Of rehab before Orlando returned to the NFL, and the Browns released him when the injury took him off the field longer than expected. After his playing days were over, Orlando Brown filed a lawsuit against the NFL for $200 million for damage to not only his
Go ahead and get
but
your
his
check.
career. Over the incident,
Go ahead and get your check.
Jason Pierre-Paul blew his hand off with fireworks. One Independence Day changed Jason Pierre-Paul's life forever. JPP is known for coming back to his hometown of Deerfield Beach, Florida every July 4th and setting off over-the-top fireworks to entertain his community. Late in the evening, JPP was setting off the last of his fireworks when one wick wouldn't stay lit. After a lot of attempts, the firework exploded and sparks encompassed Jason's entire
His whole hand got blew off. That looks so disgusting.
body. He next remembered himself in the hospital bed, doctors all around trying to repair his right hand. The hand was connected by just skin and a few tendons. The explosion resulting fire blew parts of JPP's hand completely off. His career was already at a crossroads, as he was 27 and negotiating a new deal with the Giants. This freak accident put everything on hold. Initially, doctors told him that his career was over, but after 10 surgeries by specialists in Miami, JPP worked harder than he ever had before, getting back into shape and returning to the Giants. While the injury took his index finger and chunks of his hand, it brought JPP a renewed purpose in life. Plaxico Burress shot him.
That's exactly why when people say light the fireworks then run off. When you light it, I don't care if it's not coming on. You're not supposed to light it. It goes off, then come back and keep on trying to do it, because out of nowhere this can happen. It can just out of nowhere explode. That's why when you do it, you run off. You take off.
Himself in the leg. On Sundays, teams often shoot themselves in the foot with silly penalties or.
These men need to learn some safety. Were they taught safety? If you have a gun, you obviously have to have a license for it unless you have it illegally. Alright? Second of all, with the fireworks, you should know. Even I know, and I don't light fireworks. You should know that when you light it, just run off. Because have you ever saw someone light a firework and they ran off, you should learn off of that. That's common sense.
Bad fundamentals, but only one player shot himself in the quad. Plaxico Burress was the receiver who caught the game-winning touchdown in Super Bowl 42 against the undefeated Patriots. His career fell off quickly after an awful trip to a New York City club. While walking up the stairs at the club, Plaxico's gun fell off his hip underneath his jeans, so he tried to save it from hitting the ground. As he reacted to quickly catch it, his finger accidentally pulled the trigger, discharging the weapon in a crowded nightclub. The bullet went directly through the side of his quad. Fortunately, the wound wasn't life-threatening. Unfortunately, Burress was in illegal possession of a firearm and held liable for it firing.
I just told y'all, if you have a gun, you should have it, and you should be trained unless you have it illegally. He had it illegally, and he didn't know what he was doing. If you have a gun, you should have a license for it, and you're supposed to be taught how to use it. First off, do you have the safe on? If you don't, you don't have any business even having a gun. If you're not using the gun, you always have the safe on. That's having a gun 1.0. 101, whatever you say it. Second of all, where'd you get that gun from? Because it seems to me you don't know what you're doing. So how'd you get that gun in the first place?
In a public area. He was charged and sentenced to 2 years in prison and was released by the Giants because of it. Antonio Brown gave himself frostbite. Antonio Brown's career crashed.
That's like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. That's recent.
It started with an ice burn. AB was already in hot water after fizzling out with the Pittsburgh Steelers. His relationship with his new team, the Oakland Raiders, started on thin ice. The newest athlete recovery craze is called cryotherapy, where the old ice bath is replaced with a super frozen negative 100-degree room for about 90 seconds. It takes specific clothing and directions to mitigate the risk of the unsustainable fridge. Well, AB didn't exactly abide by that and exposed his feet. He immediately got stage 2 frostbite in his feet as they swelled up and began to shed sheets of skin. The injury sidelined him for the entire Raiders training camp and permanently damaged multiple blood vessels and nerve endings in his feet. AB's lack of due diligence took him from catching frozen ropes to getting cold feet. Chris Hansen chopped his leg with an axe. Head coach Jack
I know accidents happen, but you chopped your leg off with an axe. I'm gonna just watch
Jack
it. Just
Del
watch
Rio
it.
was looking
Let's
for a symbolic spark for his struggling Jaguars team in 2003. He brought in a huge tree stump and a lumberjack axe, saying that the team just needed to keep chopping wood. For our amusement, we insert an NFL punter into the joke. Chris Hansen, the Jags Pro Bowl punter, watched others for weeks before he decided to take a swing himself. He pulled back and threw it down hard, so the axe went through and out the side of the stump on the way into Hansen's leg. The blade opened up a massive gash in his skin, and he was quickly brought to the hospital. The bone was visible, blood was everywhere, and Hansen's season was over for sure. The Jaguars immediately had the axe and stump removed and taken out of sight. The Jags continued to struggle that year, but Hansen went on to punt for another 6 years and 2 other teams. Maybe weapons don't have a place in NFL locker rooms. Who knows? Owen Schmidt cut his...
When you use an axe, if you're going down the middle, pull it back, go down. If you're going from the side, pull it back, go to the side. All you have to do. I know accidents happen, but that's not an accident.
Schmidt was a vintage fullback for the Seattle Seahawks, a blocking ball of muscle. But no matter how bad of a dude Owen was, he was going to be remembered for one pregame moment than his play on the field. Attempting to fire himself up before a game, Schmidt began bashing.
That's who did that. I remember that. He hit his helmet on his head
against his head.
A whole bunch of blood came out.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and Owen did just that. He ran through the tunnel with a crimson mask, and it took no time before cameras zoomed in on Owen's gashed head. While it probably hurt very badly when the adrenaline died off, it definitely helped Schmidt's credibility as an absolutely crazy man.
Why would you even? That is a whole nother level of savageness, of stupidity you have. That's not hyping up anybody. That's called injuring yourself.
Schmidt played the game with a bandaged head and a little more crazy in his eye, helping lead the potent Seahawks run game. LaRon Landry injured his groin paintballing. Washington safety LaRon
That just sounds
Landry
so weird.
missed
How
an
do you
early
injure your
training
groin
camp
paintballing?
practice for a strained groin. Pretty standard, right? Well, not exactly. He was injured in a team bonding outing after a practice. Well, that can happen, but not usually like this. The team's number 6 overall pick was pelted in the family jewels in a paintball war. The shot left him laboring to walk the next day. Washington's coaching staff pulled him out of practice to ensure no further injury, and he was examined by the training staff to make sure it was just a contusion and not anything more serious. Landry only missed one practice, resuming business as usual from then on. But this goes to prove that the unwritten rule of no cups in football does not carry over to the paintball field. Turk Edwards hurt his knee during a coin toss. We have to travel back in time 80 years for this one, when the Washington Redskins played the New York Giants in 1940. Turk Edwards was the captain and a player-coach of the Skins, who walked out to represent his team for the coin toss. The ceremony went pretty normally until the very last second, as the two captains shook hands. Turk quickly pivoted back to his sideline, his cleat hooked to the ground, and his knee gave way.
That's my fear of having cleats. Cleats, they have a good grip on the ground. My fear is one day my cleat might end up getting stuck in the ground, and as I'm running, it might get stuck and stop me, or like it might pull a muscle or snap something. Because if cleats are like spikes, so they're pointy enough to go through the ground. So one day if I'm running, my cleat goes through the ground and I'm still trying to run, I might pull a muscle or break something. That's my fear of having cleats sometimes.
Somehow, Edwards managed to blow out his ACL during the coin toss. The injury basically finished his 8-year playing career. Turk moved on to become the head coach of Washington for a few years and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1969. Thankfully for fans, game fields are made much better nowadays. Imagine locking in your fantasy lineup just to find out your star running back is out for the year because of a coin toss. Brutal. Nate Burleson crashed his car because of his pizza. The old saying goes, only
So you need to tell me, he had road rage over a pizza. You were big.
a small few even get
Crashing
the
your
privilege
car
of
over
having a cup
pizza.
of coffee in the NFL. But only Nate Burleson got a slice of pizza. Burleson was driving home on the highway with 2 takeout pizzas, riding shotgun in the wee hours of the morning. The top pie started to slide onto the floorboard of his Yukon, so Nate quickly went to snatch it back into place. In doing so, he overcorrected the steering wheel of his car, crashing it into the highway median wall at 70 miles an hour. While no reports of the pizza's safety surfaced, Burleson's injuries were non-life-threatening.
He obviously took the pizza too serious. You rather the pizza drop, because if the pizza drops, it's in a box, so it might still be safe. Because it's in a box, it's closed in a box. So if a pizza falls, it's still going to be in the box, and if it does fall out, not much is going to come out, and you can still eat it. You rather do that, or just crash your car over a pizza?
It was still unfortunate for Nate and the Detroit Lions when they found out he broke his arm in 2 places during the wreck. The injury ended his season just as he hit career highs. Ultimately, it finished Burleson's career. The Lions released Burleson soon after, but it isn't all bad for Nate, who is a mainstay in NFL broadcasting nowadays, and DiGiorno gave him a free year's supply of frozen pizzas, so it would never happen again. Bill Gramatica tore his ACL celebrating a field goal. Oh, kickers.
This needs to be on don't celebrate too early moments.
Bill Gramatica
don't
was a
celebrate too
promising
much
USF
moments.
kicker drafted by the Cardinals in the 4th round. Early in a December game against the New York Giants, Gramatica hit a routine 42-yard field goal. He took a couple of steps before leaping off the ground, fist-pumping in celebration, but everything came quickly crashing down, and so did he. As soon as his leg hit the turf, Gramatica tumbled to the ground and grabbed his knee in wincing pain. This was like the football version of those nightmares you had as a kid when you dreamt you forgot your pants before a big speech. After evaluation, Bill suffered a torn ACL, ending his season. The hilarious injury also effectively ended Gramatica's NFL career, as the injury impaired his plant leg and his power on long-distance kicks. Gramatica only played 2
That's
more
sad.
seasons
Your
in the
whole
league.
career
A quick
ended
cup
off of
of
a
coffee in the
celebration.
Arena Football League before retiring. Gramatica will forever be known as the goofy kicker who got hurt celebrating. So there you have it, the weirdest injury.
Well, all of these injuries were weird, except for maybe 1 or 2. Really, all of them good. My question is, how do you cut your leg open off of an axe? That happens. And the dude with the gun You never should have had it in the first place. But if y'all enjoyed this video, go ahead and smash that like button and that subscribe button with post notifications on if y'all want to see more videos like this in the future. And it's your boy Chisel, and I'm out. Peace.